So we appreciate you coming to our Power Hour today. We know we've taken a few weeks off coming off of our national, which was amazing. So if you're in New Orleans, I'm hoping you got back safely and you're here at our Power Hour. So before we get started, we always want to get a word from our Madam President. So Madam President, do you have anything you would like to tell us before we get started on our presentation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to thank everyone. It looks like we have a nice, healthy Power Hour going on. I want to thank everyone for joining our Power Hour today. We're back on track with all of our education for our state. And we just came off of the NARAB conference. And I was just telling Michael, I think a lot of people are still catching up for sleep on their sleep. It was so moving. And so we're even more excited about our upcoming state conference. Our state conference is more zen. We're going to do yoga. We're going to start our day off with yoga and walks, and maybe not party the night through so that we could just come down from our New Orleans high. So yes, so we're really excited about the upcoming conference. Thank you to Parisha and Ingrid, our co-chairs of the conference. We like to call this a working conference. So get ready to do some work, not just taking the information, but do the work on your business, on yourself, to make 2025 the best year yet. So we have a lot of changes in the industry going on right now with buyer agency. We'll be addressing that. And we want to just be here to support all of our members through through another pivot in their business, outlooks. So thank you, Parisha, and I'll hand it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. And yes, so we have Michael Prieto, who I'm actually going to let you introduce yourself and start the presentation because I don't know you that well and I want to get to know you a little bit better, but you came highly recommended. So go ahead and Michael, awesome. Take the show.
Thank you so much, Parisha, Ria, and all the KRAB hierarchy for the opportunity to be here with you all today. I also want to say special thanks to Clinton James and Denise Mathis for their partnership over the years. I am looking forward to seeing you all at your state conference in October. Attainable Housing is registered. We got our booth ready to go. So make sure you swing by our booth and say hello to us. Real quick story before I give you my intro. Just so y'all know, I think I hounded Parisha for what felt like months. Maybe it was only weeks, but it felt like months for the opportunity to be here. And the fact that she scheduled me out to August, it actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise because the program from what it was at the beginning of the year to now has evolved, and it's providing so much more value, actually a higher dollar amount for buyers out in California. So thanks, Parisha, for pushing me out to August. I'm super excited to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Prieto, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of Attainable Housing Advocates. And my group, one of the things that we do is we administer the HOPER program, which is, as you're going to learn today, it's a nonprofit that is helping buyers with an incentive of up to $13,000 to purchase a home. A quick background on me, I spent about 18 years in the mortgage industry. 14 of those were in the affordable lending, CRA, kind of underserved community arena of the mortgage world. And most recently, I spent a couple years with PNC Bank, and that may be where some of you recognize me from. But now having the ability to work with nonprofits and having the ability to work with nearly any lender or mortgage broker out there, while still making an impact in those underserved communities across the country, for me, it's been extremely rewarding and special for me. So let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I could do that real quick. And you guys let me, if I can get a thumbs up or a quick confirmation that you guys can see it, that would be great. You guys see okay, you can see it. Perfect. All right, so let's just jump in. So for today's call, what I want to do is I want to arm you guys with a super easy yet valuable incentive program that both you and your preferred lenders can use to build even more value for your clients with. And so the program is called HOPER. HOPER is the nonprofit, and it's actually an acronym. It stands for Home Ownership, Promotion, Education, and Research. And as I've gotten to work with a lot of the participants that have enrolled in the program, I really do believe it is a better path to home ownership, like it says on the screen. What HOPR has done with regard to tying a mechanism that drives savings to the buyer's pockets as a new homeowner, in combination with awesome pre-closing education and post-closing financial mentorship that the participants go through, it really has been just a win-win-win all around. We're helping agents, sell more homes that they otherwise may not be able to sell because the buyer doesn't qualify. And so we're able to get them to qualify through this program. And it's really, really super rewarding, not to mention that additional education that they're going to get as part of the program. So let me give you a little bit of background on why HOPR was even brought to existence. It's been around for about 2 years, and this is the data kind of behind the why they're doing what they're doing. And so you guys know as well as anyone, there's so many Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Right now, as of December 2023, was 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and that's a problem. Everybody's talking about, hey, let's get these assistance programs, let's do DPAs in California, and let's get all this money up front, and let's get buyers out of renting and put them into ownership. But nobody's talking about what happens after the fact. And that's this graph right here it's called the mortgage default bell curve. And it's called the bell curve because it kind of looks like the shape of a bell, that blue area right here. That is actually the propensity that a buyer defaults on their mortgage during the first 5 years of ownership. Interestingly enough, there's an inverse relationship between that propensity to default and that orange line, which is their savings account. So most buyers, if you think about it, they get assistance from a program, or they get your mom and dad give them a gift for their down payment, or maybe they were able to save a bunch of money and they've got this massive down payment and they go put it down. Now they become homeowners, which is we're really excited about. That's great. But what does their bank account look like after they move in? It looks very low, less than $1,000. And we believe that that's the reason they default on their mortgage, especially during year 2, year 3. If they have any sort of loss of income, they have to make a decision. Do I make my car payment or do I make my house payment? Well, that car is probably going to get them to their next job. So they end up doing the car payment and defaulting on their mortgage. This doesn't even speak to foreclosure rates. This is just defaults. We're trying to make not only home ownership attainable with that first windfall of cash, but we're also trying to make it sustainable long-term, especially during those first few critical years. So HOPR is 100% focused on helping participants obviously get out of renting, get into home ownership, but also with that post-closing education. They're really focused on putting the buyer in a situation where they learn how to budget, learn how to save, creating the emergency savings of 3 to 6 months, paying down their credit card debts faster. That's all stuff they learn as they participate in the program. And so they learn that post-closing. They go through that course post-closing. So how does HOPR help buyers sustain that home ownership? And I kind of spoke to it a little bit already, but they take a 3-prong approach to the whole idea of home ownership. One, you got to have the pre-closing education. Through this program, it's about 6 hours online, done at their own pace. And then prong number 2 is the post-closing financial mentorship. That is a 9-hour course that's done after they move in. We give the buyers up to 12 months to complete that course. So they don't have to, we're not calling them the day after they get the keys and telling them, okay, you got to start your class. We let the dust settle. On average, participants start that post-closing education about 45 days post-closing is what we're seeing in our data. And that course is 1 hour per week for 9 weeks long. So they're certainly giving us a lot of their time and participation through the program. Through those 2 courses. And then the third prong is through ongoing renewable energy savings, which is the mechanism that HOPR has put in place to drive savings to that buyer's pocket as a new homeowner. So we also believe that, through that there's a sense of increased accountability through the program, right? Because the buyers now, they're not just new homeowners, they're new homeowners. They've gotten this bucket of money, and they're about to get another bucket of money when they go file their tax returns. On average, they get about another $12,000, specifically during the first critical year of home ownership. And so they feel as though I'm part of something bigger. I'm actually enrolled in a research project. I'm responsible to complete my education. And also there's a little bit of other work that they have to do through the program, but it all boils down to accountability and the education. And that's what we're seeing through the program, is they're excited about that. So the program, the funds, the $13,000 that they get through this program, and I'm going to use 13,000 loosely because I know California is one of the most expensive states in the nation. And so the program, really, if you're taking notes, the buyers get 3.5% of the sales price up to $13,000. That $13,000, it's not a grant. It is not a gift. It does not have to be repaid. There's not a second lien hovering over their title like a DPA program or anything like that. If they refinance in a year or 3 years, there's no penalty. The money that they get, they actually earn it as income. So it's 1099 income to them. They are participating in a research project, which is unlike your traditional DPA, right? So any research project out there that wants participants to come enroll, there's some that will compensate you for your time. And that's exactly what Hoper is doing. They're compensating these buyers $13,000 for their time. So they'll earn 1099 income for completing their education. They do earn it, and it's all front loaded. So they earn that 13,000 before closing. The fastest that we've processed a client or participant through the program is 7 days. So if you've got, you could look at this and say, well, I've got an FHA buyer that their closing date is 7+ days out. You could look at potentially enrolling them if we connected with your lender and enrolled them in the program. Now, what they get for documenting the money, because your loan officers, their underwriters are going to need to source the money for closing. It's not a DPA. It's not coming from some government entity. There's not a bunch of hoops you got to jump through to have the lender sign up and do a bunch of different things. It's just income. So they're going to get a pay stub, which is the document on the left. They're going to get a bank statement, which is the document on the right. And the money, in case you're wondering, like, do you guys just give $13,000 to a buyer before closing? And what if they spend it? That's why it sits in a savings club account. It doesn't go directly to their personal checking account. So the savings club, what a savings club is a nonprofit can create essentially a savings account for their participant. And so it's a savings account that's monitored by whatever nonprofit that's created it. That money can be wired directly to title. It can be applied for down payment. We've seen it applied for closing costs. And in fact, I'll go to my next slide because it speaks to all the ways that you can use this money. So unlike a traditional DPA program, we wire those funds to title, and they're being applied for down payment. They're being applied for closing costs. We have had loan officers call us and say, hey, I've got a buyer who they just cannot budget for this house that they want because their car payment is kicking their DTI out of whack. Can we pay off their car at closing with this money? Yes, you can. So a buyer who has down payment money but still wants to enroll, you can get really creative on how you use these monies. We can also replenish the buyer savings account with this money. So what that means is that buyer that we talked about at the beginning of the call, that maybe they saved up all of their money and they've got their down payment, and we're about to deplete their savings, and they're going to have less than $1,000 in the bank after they sign the dotted line. This money can go right back. We can wire it to their personal checking account post-closing, which will do what? It'll drive that orange line up immediately. So now they go into this home ownership journey with several months of a few months of reserves in the bank. I know realtor fees has been a big topic as of late. They can use this money for that. If they need to pay their realtor through the closing, this money can be used for that. We've had loan officers that they usually run an automated underwriting approval system where they run everything through an automated system. And that system will say ineligible or refer due to lack of reserves. Well, now the buyer's got reserves that will flip that denial into an approval. So now we can create some home ownership opportunities with this program. Buying down the rate is a big one. We've seen loan officers do that. This money, because it's earned income, we can also use it for appraisal shortages. We've helped save so many transactions across Arizona, across Texas, with appraisal shortages, and so really, really versatile it's really a versatile bucket of money because you can use it in so many ways. This little screenshot that you see on the deck here, it says, I'll read it. It says, be sure to ask me how you may be eligible to earn 3.5% of your home sales price through the Hope for Homeownership program. Use your earnings to cover your down payment, reduce your rate, pay down debt, or build your savings. I took that off of a pre-approval letter that a lender is using in Texas and in Florida. And what they're doing is they're basically saying, hey, this is an option. You're an FHA buyer. This is an option for you. Totally optional, but it may be worth your time. And it's actually increasing their pull through, because that buyer that is shopping their mortgage, they're going to a different lender, and that other lender maybe hasn't heard about this program yet. And they're winning that deal because they're like, hey, I'd like to learn about this additional money. It'll replenish my savings. It'll do whatever I need it to do. And so it's really interesting to see how a lot of the lenders out there have really gravitated towards it to help more buyers and put them in a really great situation. So let's dive into kind of some of the mechanics of the program. It's got to be an FHA loan. And there's a lot of lenders we're already working with. Some of your preferred lenders or mortgage brokers, I'd love to connect with them if I haven't already. But again, we're talking about the mechanics. So it's an FHA loan, and there's a policy specific in the FHA handbook. And for those of you who've had the pleasure of reading through the 800 pages of the FHA handbook, you may have remembered there's a 4-page section that says it's called the Solar and Wind Technology Policy. And what that allows you to do, it basically says FHA wants people to go with either solar or wind technology for their homes. And so what it allows you to do is, without any impact to your appraisal, meaning, let's say your home for sale is at $400,000. If it appraises for $400,000, FHA says, we will allow you to finance a new solar or wind system above the $400,000, and it does not have to appraise for a penny more than your sales price of $400,000. Really, really awesome program built into FHA's handbook. So we're leveraging that policy because what Hoper has done, they've leveraged their nonprofit status to connect directly with the top manufacturers of solar technology across now 31 states. And what they said was this: they said, look, we love solar technology. We love that it can actually save people money, but we don't like the high sales price, high commission structure of that door-to-door industry. We also do not like the second lien UCC filings that puts resale market in a bind, where buyers can't afford to get the home because they've got this solar lien that's hovering over the title. Give us a direct conduit between the manufacturer and our participants so that they can get a reduced cost system. They take out the solar salesperson, if you will. They take that out and they get a reduced cost system that's financed right into their FHA loan. So what does that mean? That means they own it outright. There's no second UCC filings. They immediately save on their energy while it's built into their mortgage payment. So their mortgage payment is fixed, a great interest rate, and they don't have but maybe on average, in Arizona, I'll use $20 to $45 a month on their energy bills. California, a little bit higher, about $45 to $90 a month on their energy bills, because it's all built into their mortgage. So that's how we leverage the FHA's policy and use the reduced cost pricing through the Hope for Nonprofit to connect the buyer with a solar system that's financed right into their mortgage. They get the education. Before I collect their education fees, there's 2 small fees for the buyer to enroll in the project. And that is the pre-closing education, which is $149. And then post-closing financial mentorship, which we've talked about, that's $80. So for $230 all in, they'll get the education, both pre-closing and post-closing, that they, quite frankly, I think they desperately need. A lot of the home buyers out there need that. And then they get connected with a reduced cost system with a lender that finances it right into their mortgage. What that does also, not only does it reduce their energy bill from out in California, I've heard and I've seen, $300-400 a month utility bills. It reduces those substantially down to $90, $80. And because they own the system outright, part of their mortgage, they get access to the state and federal tax credits, which is that on average $12,000 that I showed you on a previous slide deck. They get access to that money. What they do with that money is completely up to them. But what we're seeing our participants do, because they've been given that education, they're not rushing out and saying, well, I got $12,000 from the government because they give me these massive tax credits. I'm going to go buy a brand new car. No, what we're seeing them do is be smart. Okay, I went through the education. I should probably keep some of this money in emergency savings, maybe pay off some credit card debt, put my family in a better financial situation because I did get access to both of these buckets of money. So a buyer in California, they're going to get $13,000 up front, $12,000 on the back end. That's $25,000 without any income restrictions, no DTI restrictions, no second liens hovering over their title, no interest rate bump. They're not participating in a traditional DPA, which requires you to bump the interest rate. This is a true standard basic FHA loan that leverages that policy that's in the handbook. So we're working with a ton of lenders across the nation already. And this is some of the feedback that we've gotten, not only from the loan officers that are using the program to help their buyers, but some of their agents as well. Loan officers like it because I just mentioned there's no income restrictions, right? So you can access the funds regardless of how much you make. The funds from HOPR, we talked about it. They could be used to pay off debt. They're very versatile. They love it for that reason. Standard FHA rates apply. It's available across multiple states. So loan officers that are licensed across multiple states, they really like it for that. If they're paid on BIPs, which a lot of loan officers are, they get to originate a higher loan amount. So they also like it from that standpoint, for them to be able to provide for their families. But realtors like it because the funds from HOPR, they can be used to actually buy the rate down, which gives your buyers more buying power, right? We just closed the loan on last Friday I'm in Arizona, and we did it out in, it's called a little city called Buckeye, Arizona. And they bought a home with a 4.875% rate because the lender bought their rate down. And I can't remember the last time I saw a 4.875, but it gave them the buying power that they needed to get into that home. The realtors also like it because it's a fully owned solar system. So there's no second lien situation that they have to deal with when that buyer calls them back and says, hey, I'm ready to sell my home. I want to upgrade. There's not going to be any issues with the solar. And in fact, it's actually going to put your buyers in a better situation because if you guys have had experience with appraisers out there, they don't usually give value to a system that has a lien against it. If there's a solar payment, you're not really going to get that much value for it. But if it's a fully owned system outright, you're going to get some good value from the appraiser in that scenario. Realtors also like it because of that second windfall of money, that additional $12,000 in tax credits that their buyers get. And they're able to submit offers with less contingencies because they know those funds are readily available. We've already documented it with the pay stubs and the bank statement. It's cleared through underwriting. We're ready to rock and roll. So they love it because of that. This is not an all-inclusive list of the lenders that we're working with, but these are some of the more I guess one of the top users of it, if you will. So if you know anybody at these lenders, and let's get them let's connect with them and make sure that they've heard about it. We've got some awesome customer reviews, specifically out of some other states, but I want to make sure that you guys know, your buyers are going to be dealing with a reputable company. We're A+ rating through the BBB. We're here to help. We're here to serve. We come alongside you guys and your lenders as advocates for them to become homeowners, because that's what we want. We want people to be able to become a homeowner and sustain that home ownership long term. Here's where HOPR can make an impact. Everywhere that you see an orange state is where the program's eligible. So if you have ties to any of those states, or if you're interested in maybe getting me connected with colleagues in your states, in those other states, I'd love to come alongside you and do that. And then lastly, if you're thinking, well, gosh, this sounds awesome, how can I spread the hope for home ownership? Request co-branded flyers. You can see on the screen, we did one with Clinton, and it's a great kind of a one-pager that really speaks to the program. Great for open houses or your social media. If you guys do email drip campaigns, you're welcome to use it in that situation. Also talk with your preferred lenders. If you didn't see them on that list, and that list is a lot longer, but let's make sure they're set up to originate this basic FHA loan that leverages that one little policy in the handbook. If you've got a listing and you're like, well, is this home eligible? Speaking of eligibility for the home, this can work for any type of townhouse, site, 1 to 4 unit, duplex. The only thing it will not work on is a condo, and also a home that already has solar on it. Anything else is wide open, and you'll be able to use it. At certain price points, if you're in a market that has, you know, $350,000 homes, this program will cover the entire 3.5% on their FHA loan. And some loan officers out there are leveraging that idea that, hey, I can get you a 0 down FHA loan. And so if you have a listing that you're like, is this home eligible? Like, how much would they earn through the program based on the sales price? Let me know. We'll check it. We can create some open house flyers for you. We can help market it with you. And then lastly, we can spread the word by home buyer seminars. If you guys are doing those, we can do them in person here in Arizona, but virtually, I can totally come alongside you virtually and do them for you guys out in Cali. So that's kind of a way we could kind of spread it. I did have a copy of the flyer kind of blown up a little bit so you guys can kind of see how we did it. We kind of really just kind of recap the program, high level bullet points. Here's how we can help you get there. And then we just co-brand it very simply, nothing too crazy fancy, but it gets the word out, and it puts this in buyers' hands and your loan officer hands. So that's really all I've got for you guys. What questions, thoughts, comments do you guys have for me?
Conrad has his hand raised. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, I'm Conrad. I'm a mortgage broker. I wanted to know, because I know we were talking about this. Do you have a expected timeline on it becoming available for conventional as well?
Oh, great question, Conrad. So right now it's off to the races with FHA. We are working hard to roll it out with a Freddie Mac product. Ideally, we could roll it out with Freddie Mac, you know, sooner rather than later, but I am working on it. I don't have a timeline on it, but that is on our radar, because there are some great conventional products through Freddie Mac that I've seen that could potentially partner up with this program very nicely and give a buyer a second option when you're looking at FHA loan, maybe a little bit better, you know, mortgage insurance premium going on the Freddie Mac route. So there's definitely some upside there. I don't have a date though. Good question, Conrad.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? I actually have a question.
Sure,
and I'll get to you in a second, Maureen. So sorry, I didn't see your hand up until right now, so I apologize. But the question I have is, so we can go into it and definitely get our closing costs, our buyer's broker compensation taken care of through that. And it has, and what is the time frame? Can they do it before they're actually in escrow, or does it have to be that 7 days before escrow? I just want clarity on that. Thank you.
Yeah. So the 7-day time frame that I gave you, that's for a buyer. Like, if you're wondering, if I enroll them today, how soon will they have the money saved in their savings club? The answer to that is in as little as 7 days. The follow-up to that is they won't be able to access the money until closing. So if they don't buy a house, they can't get the money. It sits in the savings club. But once they buy a home and they close at title, we can wire the funds from their savings club directly to the title company, and then your realtor fees could be paid out at closing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Maureen. Sorry about that.
Well, I'm asking actually for one of my family members. So I just wondered if there's an income limit for FHA. I know to get a loan, there's a loan limit by the county or whatever it is, but they may not what qualifies an FHA for income? If you have a higher income for, let's say you're in Florida or Georgia or somewhere, does it make a difference?
No, FHA doesn't have any income restrictions. So, so what that also means is this program is designed not only for first-time home buyers. This could be a repeat buyer. If they're doing an FHA loan, FHA doesn't have any restrictions on that as well. So, yeah, you could totally use this for that. Good question, Maureen.
What's their do you have a debt to income ratio, or are there other parameters, or is that up to the lender?
It's up to the lender. So whatever your lender overlays are, that is what the restrictions are, if you will. So we're now working with so many different lenders. I've seen DTI restrictions at 55. I've seen them as high as 57. I've seen credit scores as low as 580. So there's a wide range, and I'm sure you guys having your preferred lender partners out there, it's just get me on the phone with them. We can walk through the program, make sure they're, if they haven't originated one already, we can make sure they're familiar with the FHA solar and wind policy, and immediately start to access these funds. Great questions.
Great. Okay, we'll get back to you on that. What lender requires a 580 credit score? I'm sure there's some lenders on here that do FHA 580. I think that was your question, Marie. So if anybody knows anyone that has any lenders that do 580 FHA, please put it in there. Go ahead, you can be recognized, Mr. Benton.
Miss Benton.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi,
Yeah.
Benton.
The lighting, I apologize.
That's okay. Is there a time limit to how long you can live into the home?
No, there's no restrictions on how long they have to be in the home. There's no penalties if they refinance or sell. So yeah, that's the beauty of the program too, is you don't have that cloud hanging over you at all.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Good question.
Okay, I see you have your hand up too, Michelle.
Yes, thank you for your presentation, and this information is powerful. What I'd like to know is, are any of your lenders in California? If so, who are they?
Physically in California or licensed in California?
Licensed.
Oh yeah, we've got, off the top of my head, you've got OnQ, you've got Fairway, Prime Lending, CalCon is out there, Cross Country Mortgage is out there, Nexa loan officers have access. If you've got any broker partners, they've got access to EPM out there. So that's a great option for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm Conrad. I'm in California. I'm from Long Beach. I'm in Riverside. But yeah, I work with Nexa, and my info's in the chat. So
okay, Conrad, thank you.
Awesome. Great connection there. And great question, Michelle. Thank you.
Okay. So are there any more questions? This has been a great presentation, Michael. I'm glad we did finally get you on here.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited for it. I mean, the old program, it was only $8,000 that it was offering, and it was built a little differently, and it has certainly evolved. So 13,000, it can go a long way, especially if we're talking about, like to your point, can they pay their realtor fees with it? Yeah. Can they pay off a debt with it and make them be better, in a better financial position going into this ownership journey? Yeah. So yeah, any FHA buyer you guys have, we can run with it right now. As soon as I have it available for Freddie Mac, I will call you, Parisha, and we will let everybody know it's available on conventional too.
Right. That sounds great. That sounds great.
Awesome.
So we try to keep it we actually have a lot of time. So if anyone has any other questions, Michael, you already given your contact information, right? So they can reach out to you directly in case they have any additional questions. And once we get off the Zoom call, or any of the lenders on here, see how they can get, connected with you and maybe be able to offer the program in addition. Other than that, is Madam President still here? Do you have any last words or anything like that before we wrap up Power Hour?
Yes, I'm still here. Of course, my last words would be register for our state conference. It's coming up October 17th through the 19th. You should also in your emails see a survey. So we have a fun little survey that our conference committee has put out to see what you like to do on that Sunday after the conference ends. So some people are bringing their families out and even if some people are even coming solo and they want to go to Disneyland, or maybe the football game that's happening that Sunday, or brunch. So we want to know what the members want to do. So please check out the survey, complete it. Let us know what you want to do that Sunday. Be sure to register while the early bird special is still available for $250. Register for the conference. It's going to be everything and more, meals included. It will not be money wasted. So look forward to seeing you guys all in a few months and also on the next Power Hour. Thank you, Parisha.
All right. Yes. No, thank you, Madam President. So that being said, you guys have, Maureen, you have a question before we go?
No, I'm just giving a shout out. Thanks, Rhea. We have Commissioner Lara for our local group coming August 29th. So insurance is really important. So I was lucky enough to get him. He has a super tight schedule, so they want everybody early. And we have somebody from one of the heads of the FAIR plan and a nonprofit. So it's really interesting. I heard a lot of it on CAR and last year, but they keep adding. So it explains the intricacies of the insurance issues. So that's that August 29th, 5:15 now. So you can email me that we should get the link out tomorrow or so.
Okay, great. And thank you, Maureen. And what board are you with, Maureen?
We're at the Oakland, the ARPB, the East Bay.
Oh, okay. You gotta lead with that because some of us aren't in Northern Cal, so I didn't know if I can make it.
Oh, okay. I put my email in there, so if anybody needs it, and then Rhea should have it, and Sedalia. So I'm the co-chair of the legislative committee, and I'm the third VP. So, and we are doing a hybrid meeting next week for our marketing with for NAR Build It Green certification. So that helps everybody save money. Just like you're talking about solar. So that'll be next Wednesday.
Okay, well, thank you, Maureen. Does anyone else have any announcements, real quick, before we wrap it up? I want to make sure everyone. Lyric, are you still on the call? Madam President, is she gone? Lyric? Okay. Well, in that case, then, thank you, Maureen, for your input and letting us know what's going on over there in Oakland. And we appreciate everybody being on the Power Hour. Our next Power Hour is August 29th. It is going to be with PNC, which is our Onyx sponsor. We would like everybody's participation because they have some very good information for us as well. That being said, you guys have a rest of amazing day, a great weekend, and we will see you soon.
Powerful hour. Thank you.